Hello, my name is Kriengkrai Techakanont from Thailand. In this video, I will present the findings from our collaborative work, and the title is Evolution of Production Network and Localization of Firms, Evidence from the Thai Automotive Industry. This is a collaborative work that I have done with Mr. Kuroiwa and Keola. I just would like to explain a little bit about why we chose this study. In 2007, I wrote a chapter in the book that was edited by Mr. Kuroiwa, and in that book I wrote about the development of automotive cluster and production network in Thailand. And I found that firms in automotive sector has agglomerate and form a cluster in the eastern part of Thailand. And the industry has been developed after that. In last year, 2019, the industry produced 2 million units, and half of that were export, and the rest were sold in domestic market. So what I found is that the firm tend to locate in the eastern region of Thailand, where the government had a plan to promote heavy industry. So basic infrastructure such as deep seaport, road network, and industrial estate has been developed. So it is true that the firm would choose the best location for their business, but there was no data at that time to test whether or not the agglomeration in the automotive industry was actually different from other manufacturing sector. This is because we don't have the data about the geographical coordination of firms' location. Therefore, we decide to compile the data in order to make this research possible. And based on the existing literature, we believe that the method proposed by Duranton and Overman 2005 is suitable for our study. So in this paper, we want to do 2 things. The first is I would like to illustrate the evolution of geographical location of automotive firms in Thailand from 1960 to 2014, which is up to the time we compiled the data. And then we will follow Duranton and Overman to test for localization, dispersion, and co-localization. And in order to do so, we need to do 3 things. First, we need to select relevant establishment, which is what is the relevant firm in the automotive industry. And then the second, we compute bilateral distance of all pairs of the firm in order to compute the kernel density distribution. And then we need to construct the counterfactual by randomly assigning the firms in our sample to the location where there is at least 1 firms in the manufacturing sectors located. This is, we will do some simulation here. So the outline for my presentation will be like this. First, I will explain the data compilation and how we obtain this, okay? And then we will present our findings, which is the test of localization, dispersion, cross within automotive industry, and co-localization of partner supplier, and then concluding remarks. Okay, let's first start with the data. When we talk about the data, firstly, we need to think where we can obtain the list of all firms in the automotive industry. So we come up with the automotive directory. In the book, the directory that we have only in the print version. There's no digital file. So we need to input all the data from the book hard copy into the file by ourselves. But what is important is that we need to the information, the three sets of information, which is the address. This is important because we will get the geographical location based on the address and the postal code that we will use. Second, the main products produced by the firm, and then the year of establishment. But anyway, when we take the input all the data, we found that from 1,954 firms that is listed in the directory, there is not sufficient, or the field that we need in the information is not complete. So we need to find from, to look for the information in Ministry of Commerce and the Thailand Automotive website. And based on our research, we could come up with only 1,406 firms that have all necessary data for our analysis. So based on the first group that I want to explain is about the location. The postal code, we use the postal code of all firms, and then we looking at the geographical location from www.geonames.org. And this is quite important because once we get the postal code and get the coordination, we can generate the geographic coordination on the map, and we can use it to compute the kernel density of bilateral distance of all firms in our sample. Then when we want to test the localization of this person, we need to construct counterfactual. And the data for the counterfactual is that the location that is possible for the manufacturing firms, which is about 929 possible location, where 457,000 manufacturing establishments were located. So we simulate and we allow the firm to choose the location randomly 1,000 times. And this will be used to find the lower and upper bound of our testing that I will explain later. The next is about the type of parts. This is quite important because we want also to test if firms that produce similar products or they are in the same category will locate close to each other. Therefore, we group them together, but in the Thailand Automotive Directory, there is only the subcategory like this, 225. So we need to make it simpler so that we can handle it. Then we found the information from marked lines. In the website, there will be the classification that provide, and there are about 900 subcategories within 13 main categories. So I try to map this into this, and we come up with 19 categories. Why we have more than the marked lines? That is because the nature of the Thai auto industry. We have agricultural machinery, we have the service like the training and exhibition that is important in the Thai auto industry as well. So we come up with 19 categories. However, in the marked line, there is one category called clean energy system. And in during the time that we studied this, there was no firm that produced like the motor, electric motor, or the battery for electric vehicle. In Thailand, there was no firm producing that. So we have only 18 categories in our analysis. And the last one is about the year of establishment. Actually, this one is just to give us understanding how the location of firm has been evolved over time. Because I think it might be interesting if we can plot the location of automotive firms according to their establishment year. Because in Thailand, the government has created several policies to promote the industry. Okay, so I think we would see how the location has been changed from early stage of development until present. So I will start with this. On the map, if you're looking at the left, okay, this one, this is the map that I took from Google so that you can see this is Bangkok area, okay. Pattaya is around here, okay. Chiang Mai is up more than here. I think it's beyond the map. Okay, and on the right, this area, it is about the locations of our establishment according to their establishment year. So the first period is like this, up to from 1960 to 1975. The green dot means low density, like less than 10 firms in one location or one postal code or one geographical coordination. And if it is red, it means high density, like this. The red circle means there are more than 30 firms in the same location. So what we can see here is at the beginning of the industrialization, the firm located in Bangkok area. Over time, firms moved to eastern parts and become more agglomeration in this area. Okay, so we would be able to say that we should find some confirmation from the statistic that the firm are localized when comparing to the manufacturing sector. Okay, before into that, I would just want to show you the kernel density distribution of bilateral distance. It shows that before 1985, which is these two color, okay, the firms stay close to each other, and most of them were in the Bangkok and vicinity. So the average distance between the firm in the sample is about 40. But as times, after 1985, when the government promoted Eastern regional development, the firm tend to move to the east. Then this is lower, and the mean distance between the bilateral distance is increasing to almost 70 kilometers. So this means the firm has moved out from Bangkok to the eastern part of Thailand. I also plot the kernel density distribution for 18 parts category. And we found that they are quite staying close to each other. Within 200 kilometers, most of the firms in the directory were staying close to each other. So if we test for the localization, not only for the automotive industry as a whole, when we do for the each part categories, we would find the significance of localization as well. And in order to test this, from our simulation, we can get upper and lower global confidence interval. This is following Durant and Overman suggestion. Like this is the upper bound and this is lower bound. And if there is a localization, the kernel density that we have, it will be above this upper bound. If there is a dispersion, the kernel density would lie below. So in this case, for the automotive firm as a whole, that we looking at all the firm in our data when comparing to the benchmarking with manufacturing firm, we find that automotive firms are significantly localized within 100 kilometers. So this is the point that we can say that there is agglomeration, localization. We did the same thing for all parts category, and as I mentioned earlier, that we found that all the firms quite stay close to each other, and all 18 categories are localized because we have found like this is the kernel density line above the upper bound. And you can see that the distance is about 140 to 150 like this. So all the case will be will found significant like this. This is because we compare the auto industry in each category with all the possible location that we got from the census, right? But if we want to see in the counterfactual is not manufacturing as a whole, but the counterfactual is only the address or the location of all firm in our sample. We will find that only 4 categories are localized, like service, small parts, support activities, and machine tools. And interesting that we also find that one industry seems to be dispersed. It's like motorcycle, because what we find is it always lying below the lower bound here. But anyway, the degree of dispersion is quite low. So what we found is that the agglomeration of the auto industry is clear, and this can be proved by this testing. But the last one is we want to see whether or not the parts, each category of parts should be stay with others. So we calculate the kernel density of electrical distance of our firm in category like A and B to see if there is any pair of category that they may locate close to each other. And this is because they may enjoy the benefit from staying together. They may have input linkages, labor market pooling, or knowledge sharing. And our finding is that there are some co-localization, like support activity with body. So what are the production or the service in support activity? It includes die casting, forging, stamping, machining. So we can see that in this category, it helps or has some input linkages with body because they provide some service to body, right? Climate control and engine, small general parts and suspension, for example, because small general parts consists of the fastener, spring, bearing, and seal, and so on. So they may benefit if they stay close to the parts, the firm that produce suspension parts. We also find some pair of co-dispersion as on the right-hand side, but anyway, the index is quite low. So if we can say that whether or not the auto industry has been agglomerate or localization, we would say that it is significantly localized compared to the overall manufacturing. But if we're looking into a specific type of parts, only 4 categories are localized, and some they benefit from staying close to each other. So the detail can be read in our paper. So I would like to sum up with these concluding remarks. Based on our observation, the agglomeration of firms in the Thai auto industry have been shaped by government policy and responses of the lead firms, which are the car manufacturers. When they make investment in the eastern region, they would normally invite suppliers to establish or locate a plant in the same industrial estate or the other but near, so that they can minimize its transportation costs. And because of this, the competitiveness of the Thai automotive industry has been enhanced. So what we can say is government policy, like investment incentives, rationalized policy in the past, and regional development, infrastructure readiness, macroeconomic stability. Most of these factors are contributing to the decision of the car makers and part makers to stay close to each other. And it formed an automotive cluster in Thailand within 100 kilometers. This is bilateral distance, but if you draw a parameter from Ayutthaya to Rayong, maybe the distance can be within 250 to 300 kilometers. So that is all of the finding in our paper. If you have any question, please write to me. I put the email in my email on the paper, or you can comment under this video. Thank you.